Wang Chen unexpectedly revealed Xiao Yan's true identity. Is Venerable Feng really the trustworthy person that old Yao described him to be? Continuing from the previous chapter, after Xiao Yan defeated Wang Chen, Venerable Huang Quan's expression turned somewhat ugly. Good boy, you've really surprised this Venerable One. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes slightly and cupped his fists at Venerable Huang Quan, saying, I have completed our agreement, farewell. As soon as he spoke, Xiao Yan directly turned around under the watchful gaze of everyone present and walked towards Lin Yan at the edge of the square. Just as Xiao Yan had taken more than a dozen steps, a coughing sound filled with a sinister smile suddenly sounded, causing Xiao Yan to pause in his steps and turn back with a cold look, staring at Wang Chen who was struggling to get up from the ground. Wang Chen said in a frigid voice, another go. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, the frozen smile on his face looked particularly terrifying, stained with blood. I really didn't expect that in less than 3 months, you actually reached the level of Dozong. It seems that the greatest help in the heavenly blood pond was for you. Wang Chen's laughter stunned the entire audience, then countless incredulous gazes rested on Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan. The Xiao Yan who has a grudge with the Wind-Thunder Pavilion. The Xiao Yan who killed Shen Yunwang of the Wind-Thunder Pavilion, forcibly broke through the heavenly thunder rain formation set by the 3 elders of the Wind-Thunder Hall, and finally escaped from Fan Tian's hands. Countless people outside the arena were instantly dumbfounded. No one could have imagined that the unfamiliar young man who defeated Wang Chen was actually Xiao Yan, whose name had been buzzing around the northern region recently. What was most unbelievable to everyone was that despite knowing he had a vendetta with the northern pavilion of the Wind-Thunder Pavilion, he dared to come to the Wind-Thunder Pavilion's headquarters. Wasn't this walking right into their trap? Tang Ying of the 10,000 Sword Pavilion also opened his mouth slightly, with a hint of shock on his usually cold face. This guy is actually Xiao Yan, is he crazy? Mu Qinghuan, her beautiful face also filled with shock, couldn't believe that this person actually came to the 4 pavilions assembly. Amidst the uproar, the figures above like Venerable Lei and others were also taken aback, but after a moment, they regained their composure. A hint of a smile slowly faded from their faces as they slightly turned their heads. Venerable Lei's eyes, flickering with lightning, turned to Fan Tian beside him, saying calmly, he is that Xiao Yan. Sensing the anger in Venerable Lei's words, the originally sullen Venerable Huang Quan laughed maliciously in his heart. He didn't expect that this kid was actually the Xiao Yan who had been causing a commotion recently. In that case, today's matter would become rather interesting. Venerable Feng and Venerable Jian were similarly taken aback, their eyes curiously sizing up Xiao Yan, but they did not speak further. This matter should be dealt with by the Wind-Thunder Pavilion, it wasn't appropriate for them to say more. Hearing Venerable Lei's question, Fan Tian in his silver robe hurriedly stood up. His face was also somewhat unsightly. For the sake of the Xiao Yan matter, he had already been scolded by Venerable Lei more than once, and he hadn't been spared ridicule from these 2 people beside him. Unexpectedly, this matter was brought up again. Fan Tian's fists clenched slightly within his robes. Taking 2 steps forward, his icy gaze turned to Xiao Yan in the arena, and he said coldly, boy, take off whatever is on your face. Seeing the face that left a deep impression on him, Fan Tian's face finally turned completely sullen. His figure moved, thunder roared, and his body suddenly disappeared. Seeing Fan Tian's figure disappear, Xiao Yan's expression changed. With one palm, he struck out Lin Yan. Lightning flickered on the square, Fan Tian trembled slightly, just as his body quivered, Fan Tian appeared behind him like a ghost, his lightning-wrapped hand piercing Xiao Yan's body fiercely. Unfortunately, no blood was drawn, a single arm shattered this phantom, and Fan Tian slowly turned around, looking at Xiao Yan hovering several feet above the ground with a cold gaze, sneering, we haven't seen each other for a few months, your strength has grown, no wonder you're so arrogant. Xiao Yan stared coldly at Fan Tian, then suddenly smiled, the Wind-Thunder Pavilion is nothing but this, specializing in bullying the weak and the old. His gaze lifted, directly looking at Venerable Lei seated above, mocking, why doesn't Venerable Lei do it yourself, why make it so troublesome? Xiao Yan's words immediately caused an uproar throughout the arena. Many felt that Xiao Yan must have lost his mind to provoke Venerable Lei at such a time, while some quick-witted individuals secretly admired him after their initial shock. What was Venerable Lei's status? A giant-like existence on the central continent, his identity was almost immeasurably different from Xiao Yan's. Precisely because of this, after Xiao Yan's words, if Venerable Lei didn't want to earn a reputation for bullying the young, he wouldn't dare to personally make a move against Xiao Yan today. Venerable Lei stared indifferently at Xiao Yan, his voice showing no great fluctuation. Yomiki doesn't need this Venerable One to act. Seeing that his words seemed to have some effect, Xiao Yan's gaze turned to the heads of the western and southern pavilions, and he said again, with the likes of Pavilion Master North acting, there's naturally no need for Venerable Lei to act, and if Pavilion Master North can't handle it, there are still Pavilion Master West and Pavilion Master South here. Hearing this, a muscular man sitting in the seats, his voice like thunder, laughed loudly, "Kid, don't say those thorny words. This is the North Pavilion's matter, the West and South Pavilions won't interfere." Hearing this laughter, Fan Tian frowned slightly. The disparity in status between him and Xiao Yan was also too great. His actions back then were out of necessity, yet he didn't think that he would still let him escape, which greatly damaged his face. Therefore, he couldn't resist making a move upon seeing him now. After regaining his senses, he found himself in a difficult situation. Even if others didn't intervene today, if he truly made a move, he would inevitably earn a reputation for bullying the young. But in this arena, if he didn't make a move, other strong figures of the Wind-Thunder Pavilion of the same generation as him would definitely not take the initiative to act unless ordered by Venerable Lei. Thus, whether or not to make a move became a headache for him. Struggling for a moment, a fierce look finally flashed across Fan Tian's eyes. Xiao Yan had greatly damaged the face of the Northern Pavilion of the Wind-Thunder Pavilion. Today, no matter what, he couldn't let him go. As Fan Tian made up his mind, an exceptionally vigorous aura slowly awakened within him. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yan's eyes shook slightly. He hadn't expected that the old man would rather bear a bad reputation than insist on making a move against him. Lin Yan hastily shouted, "Xiao Yan, run quickly." Xiao Yan shook his head. It was at the Wind-Thunder Pavilion's headquarters, how easy would it be to escape? Xiao Yan's gaze wandered far, finally stopping on Venerable Feng. Was this person really the one that teacher described as worthy of trust? In public, Xiao Yan naturally wouldn't reveal old Yao's name. Taking a deep breath, he cupped his fists and said solemnly, "Venerable Feng, take a look."